The phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, its screen glowing like a beacon in the dim morning light. I froze, coffee mug halfway to my lips, as my wife's name flashed across it. Lila. A text from Mark. Her ex-husband. See you Saturday, it read, followed by a winking emoji that twisted my gut like a knife. My thumb hovered over the screen, heart hammering, as the weight of those words sank in. Every weekend for months, she'd been meeting him. Just catching up, she'd said, her voice light, her eyes avoiding mine. But this felt like a crack splitting open something I'd been too afraid to name. I set the mug down, the ceramic clinking too loudly against the granite. The kitchen smelled of burnt toast and her lavender shampoo, a scent that used to comfort me, but now felt like a lie clinging to the air. Lila was upstairs, humming softly as she got ready for work, oblivious to the storm brewing in my chest. I wanted to march up there, demand answers, but my legs felt rooted, heavy with dread. What if I was wrong? What if I was just paranoid, seeing ghosts where there were none? But that emoji, it wasn't innocent. It was a taunt, a secret shared between them that I wasn't privy to. The past few months replayed in my mind like a grainy film reel. Lila's late-night texts, her phone angled just out of my sight. The way she'd linger in the bathroom, door locked, her laughter muffled but unmistakable. Work's been crazy, she'd say, or Mark's just going through a rough patch. I'd nodded, swallowing my unease, because I loved her. I trusted her. Or at least I thought I did. But trust is a fragile thing, like glass you don't realize is cracked until it shatters under the slightest pressure. I grabbed my keys and left for work, the text burning a hole in my thoughts. The city outside was gray, the autumn air sharp with the bite of impending rain. Car horns blared, and the subway rumbled beneath my feet, but all I could hear was the echo of her voice last night. If you don't trust me hanging out with Mark every weekend, maybe the problem's with us. Her words had been soft, almost pleading, but they carried an edge, a challenge I hadn't dared to meet. Now, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been played, that her gentleness was a mask for something darker. At the office, I couldn't focus. Spreadsheets blurred into meaningless numbers, and my coworkers' chatter about deadlines felt like static. My mind kept drifting to Mark, his easy grin, the way he'd always seemed too comfortable around Lila, even after their divorce. They'd stayed friends, which I'd accepted at first. We're better as friends, she'd said, and I believed her because I wanted to. But now every memory felt tainted. The way she'd laugh at his jokes, her hand brushing his arm, the late-night calls she'd take in the other room, her voice dropping to a whisper. Small things easily explained away, until they weren't. That evening, I came home to find Lila in the living room, curled up on the couch with a glass of wine. The TV flickered with some mindless reality show, but her eyes were distant, her fingers tapping nervously against the stem of the glass. Hey, she said, her smile fleeting. Long day. Yeah, I muttered, dropping my bag by the door. The air felt thick, charged with unspoken questions. I wanted to ask about the text, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I said, "You seeing Mark this weekend?" Her gaze flicked to mine, sharp and searching before softening. Probably. He's been helping me with some stuff. She took a sip of wine, her movements deliberate, like she was buying time. Why? Just curious. My voice was tight, and I hated how small it sounded. I sat across from her, the coffee table a chasm between us. What kind of stuff? She shrugged, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. Just life stuff. You know how it is. Her tone was casual, but her eyes didn't meet mine. The room felt colder, the hum of the TV a grating intrusion. I wanted to press her, to demand details, but the fear of what I might uncover held me back. What if she admitted something I couldn't unhear? What if she didn't, and I was left doubting her even more? The next few days were torture. Every glance at her phone, every time she left the room to take a call, felt like a fresh wound. I started noticing things I'd ignored before. Her perfume lingering on her jacket after a quick coffee with Mark, the way she'd changed the subject when I mentioned him. My mind spiraled, conjuring images of them together, laughing, touching, sharing moments that should have been mine. I hated myself for it, for letting suspicion poison the love we'd built over 5 years. But the evidence was piling up, each piece a splinter under my skin. Friday night, I couldn't take it anymore. Lila was in the shower, her phone left on the bedside table. My hands shook as I picked it up, the screen unlocking with the passcode I'd seen her enter 100 times. I opened her texts, scrolling past mundane chats with friends until I found Mark's name. The messages stretched back months, a mix of casual banter and cryptic plans. "Can't wait for tomorrow," he'd written last week. "Missed you," she'd replied, with a heart emoji that made my stomach lurch. I kept scrolling, my breath shallow, until I found a photo, a selfie of them at a bar, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her. The date was last weekend, when she'd told me she was working late. The bathroom door opened, and I dropped the phone like it was burning. Lila stepped out, towel wrapped around her, her face freezing as she saw me. "What are you doing?" Her voice was sharp, accusatory, and it ignited something in me. "What's this?" I held up the phone, my voice trembling with rage and hurt. "You and Mark, all cozy last weekend? You lied to me, Lila." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "You went through my phone?" She stepped closer, her voice rising. "You don't trust me at all, do you?" "Trust you?" I laughed, bitter and raw. "You're sneaking around with your ex every weekend, sending hearts, taking selfies. What am I supposed to think?" She crossed her arms, her expression a mix of defiance and guilt. "Mark and I are friends. That's it. You're blowing this out of proportion." "Then why lie?" I shouted, the words spilling out like venom. "Why hide it if it's so innocent?" Her silence was deafening. She looked away, her jaw tight, and in that moment I knew. The truth was there, in the way her shoulders slumped, the way her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "It's not what you think," she whispered, but her voice cracked, betraying her. "Then what is it?" I demanded, stepping closer. "Tell me, Lila. Tell me why you're spending every weekend with him. Why you're texting him like he's your husband instead of me." She sank onto the bed, her hands covering her face. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said, her voice barely audible. "It was just familiar. Comfortable. I got lost in it." The room spun. My heart felt like it was being crushed, each word a hammer blow. "You're sleeping with him," I said, not a question but a statement heavy with certainty. She didn't deny it. She just looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and the silence was answer enough. I stumbled back, the world tilting, my chest tight with a pain I couldn't name. Betrayal wasn't just a word. It was this hollow ache, this shattering of everything I'd believed in. But then she spoke, her voice trembling but resolute. "I was going to tell you. I was going to end it. But I'm pregnant, Tom. And I don't know if it's yours." The words hit like a freight train, stealing my breath, my thoughts, my everything. The room closed in, the air thick with the weight of her confession. I stared at her, the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, and saw a stranger. The future we'd planned gone. The trust we'd built, ashes. And yet, beneath the rage and heartbreak, a twisted part of me still loved her, still wanted to fix this, even as the truth tore us apart.